Welcome back. It is Bones. And in this one, let's go ahead and take a look at a custom figure I have done using parts from the McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Now, I've always been a big fan of the black suit Superman. Now, this could come in many forms. It is the recovery suit, the regeneration suit, and also known as the solar suit. Now, this is after he was beat to hell by Doomsday, almost to the brink of death, and he had to recover once emerging from the Fortress of Solitude. Now, this suit is kind of used to absorb more of the sun's energy because he has reduced power levels. He's really limited in his flight capabilities when he has this suit, so sometimes the silver metal that he has on his feet is to help him fly because he's still trying to recover to his full strength. But the sun does still give him energy he could use in these moments, but he is definitely in a weakened state. Sometimes he even busts out blasters and Kryptonian technology to help him fight because he's really at a low power level. I always thought that it was really cool that he was in a black suit. That's all that I knew, basically. Now, there has been many iterations of this guy. You can see him throughout images online, with long hair, with a mullet, with a beard, without a beard, with a 5 o'clock shadow, with short hair. There's just tons of versions of him in the black suit. And this is just my take on the regeneration suit. Now, I'm not a really big fan about making customs that McFarlane is liable to put out later on, because to me that's just like a big waste of time. So what I usually do is I'll take a figure that McFarlane releases, and then I'll just add my own little details or missing accessories just to take that figure to its fullest potential. But I'm real leery of actually making characters that I have a feeling McFarlane will release later on. But this is just something that I really wanted to do because I do like the black suit Superman. And I had seen some images where he had long hair and like some statue images that really got, my juices flowing where I wanted to get into this figure. So it took me a while to actually get the parts and to start working on it, because I'd say this is at months. This is actually months in the workings, because it took me a long time to finally bring this figure to fruition. But it is here. I did put out a kind of little teaser to show you guys that I was almost ready to put them out. I still wanted to add some little details, and now they're done. So we're finally going to take a look at them now. Big shout out to my boy Votten, who helped me do a little of the choices, like the fist. I did not like the fists that came with the solar suit Superman. They were just too big, especially painted black. They were just, jumbo size. And he's the one that actually got me to put these animated fists because they kind of fit perfectly. They look gloved. And for the sleek look of this figure, they just fit perfectly. So really happy with the results. In fact, I'd be really scared to tell you guys to build your own, because once you make them, it's really hard to put them down. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at them. Now, of course, I did use 3 figures to make this one. I used parts from Omega. I also used the Aquaman and then the solar suit Superman to finally get this beautiful figure that has always been in my mind, but now here it is in my hand. Now, of course, as everyone should know, my favorite color is black. I was always like a dark kid, so this is why this suit has always like talked to me. But this is just my version. Of course, you could go different ways with it, but he does look really good. First impressions, he did have a really plastic black look to him when I started, but in the end I actually went for a more satin finish, which is like in between matte and gloss. So it doesn't have that shiny plastic look anymore. It has a more smooth, almost matte finish to him, which I really, really love. He looks really good. Love everything about this figure. It just something, like I said before, if you do make one of these, it's really hard to put him down. He's especially good in flight poses. I think that's really where his potential is in the flight poses, because I did add the details to the boots that make it so when you kick out his legs and put him in a flight pose, it just all looks really smooth and natural. Well, let's start off at the top. Let's take a look at the head. Now, I did take the hair from Aquaman and put it on this head. And I really have to say that I actually bled for this process because I used a razor blade and I did cut myself, but it was well worth it. It takes a lot of work. You got to take off some parts of the hair and take off parts of the head after you remove the old Superman hair. And it was really a battle, but I finally got it to fit perfectly. Now, afterwards, I did notice that he actually needed the sideburns, so I did add them later to match up with the beard, but it all came out really well. Now, once I was happy with how the hair was sitting on the head, I actually went into touching the paint of the beard and getting it like a cleaner cut to frame his jaw. And then I added details to the hair. Now, at one point, I did actually want to go with like gray highlights. I don't know why. Eventually, I might make another one of these and I'm going to go with the gray tones. But this time I went for the, the classic light blue in the hair. And then I left it matte, which is kind of a little like dark, has a gray tone to it. And then I added some gloss black just to give it some shine like on the highlights. But all in all, it came out really well. I had to work with parts like around the ear and stuff like that. You definitely got to work for it when you want it to fit perfectly. Now then I did mod the neck hole to make him able to look up like for flight poses and things. I just gave him more range with the head so he looks down really well. Just like I said, if you start moving him, it's just really fun to put him in different stances and poses, and he could look in all directions, and it just really works really well. Love like the silhouette of this whole body and just everything together, like the whole package is just really something that talks to me. Really cool. And the last touch I remember doing this at the very end, is I did put little pins of like a lighter blue in his eyes so it could just shine just that little bit more, just to give you like that real light blue eyes looking at you. And it came out really, really awesome. Love that part about the figure. Moving down, now this is the upper body from the Solar Suit Superman. Just gave it a satin black finish. Moving to the arms. Now I did paint these like cuffs around the wrist in silver, which is, reminiscent of the Regeneration suit. Added the black fist, which gives them like some strength and attitude. Really love the fist in black. It works really well. Get him in a lot of cool poses. Now I did customize his alternate hands. One thing I didn't like is they didn't bore out the hole where the peg like fits in. So they kind of sit weird, like they're sticking really separated from the ball peg. So I actually just cleaned it up and bored it out, and I actually changed the wrist balls to like some smaller flesh colored ones. And this lets the hand like sink deep into there to where it's not so prominent, but you still have articulation in the wrist. And the flesh colored hands are really good, just to give them another alternative, for flight poses and stuff like that. Or you want to bring out a little bit more humanity in them without the black gloves, you could switch to the flesh hands. But I like them in the black fist. Looks really, really powerful. Moving down, I really thought about this a lot, and after a lot of thinking, I just went ahead and blacked out most of the silver on the belt and just left these two dots and then the emblem in the middle. I just like it. It looks pretty cool, and even the emblem on the chest that I went ahead and kept, I just like that more like futuristic Superman look, kind of like harkens back to the Superman Beyond, the way his S is just like a futuristic, S, and I really like that. So that's why I kept these two emblems. I thought it fit good with him, so that's another decision I had to make. Now let's go down to where the legs meet into the trunks, Now these are the Omega legs. Now the reason I picked these legs is because a lot of the statues and stuff and old images are different figures from different companies, because of course lots of different companies have made the Regeneration suit Superman. They sometimes go with the boots, like the boot cut, and it just looks really like clunky and thick to me. And I think like since he's coming out of a kind of a slumber when he was hurt, that's why he kind of wears like those I'd say like pajama bottoms or like skin tight suit, because it's lighter. It's not like the boots, and I just think it gives us a really clean look, you know, like smooth and sleek and not so cumbersome. So that's why I went with these legs. Now on the inside thigh, they do have a little bit of like pattern in there, but I liked keeping it because to me it kind of felt like if it was like Kryptonian patterns or something like that. So it didn't take away from the figure at all, but I really love the feet and the ankles to this one. So that's why I went ahead and kept them. Now another thing I had to do was, if you put the Omega legs straight on to like the little hip harness that's inside here, they go too deep. And even though the pegs fit, the deepness is too much. So he becomes like his hips are real narrow. So what I had to do was make like little ring bushings, and I put these in here and painted them black, and then snapped the legs in. Now the legs still get locked in, and you have swivel, and you could kick and move them around, but now they're a little bit spaced out, and they fill out the trunks a little bit better. That's another hurdle I had to overcome when I was customizing this guy. Now, one of my favorite parts of this figure is the little silver wingtips, which is like the metal in his boots. And I remember being a kid and just like wondering that was such like a random thing that they put. And I always liked the look of it. It's like a weird like cutout shape of silver, but it doesn't go into the bottom of the boot. And it actually took me a while to get it perfectly straight and lined up, but I finally got the look that I wanted. And then this part I did seal it because I didn't want the silver to come off, and it actually gives it like a little bit more shine when you seal this like really bright silver. So those little boot designs are some of my favorite parts of this figure, especially when you like get him in flight poses and kick up his feet. It just looks so cool, like those, you know, traditional little cutouts that he has, the little silver parts on his boot tips. Just really weird how that's one of my favorite parts about this figure. Pretty cool. Now, you know, on the bottom, just why I picked these legs, because they have that, you know, kind of like a pajama or like suit little bottoms. They don't have any tread. They're smooth. And then you move up the back. The legs fit really well with this figure. Then you get into that wide back. Just an awesome looking figure. And then with that satin black paint finish, it just looks really, really cool. Love this figure. Can't get enough of them. Been messing with them ever since I've been done with them. Really, really awesome figure. Now eventually McFarlane might make a recovery suit Superman, but who knows if it'll have a beard or if it'll have the mullet. So that's why I made these certain choices, and I'm really happy with this guy. In fact, I'm pretty definitely sure that I'm going to make another one, but just change a little bit of things about it to make it different from this one, but not something that McFarlane is likely to make. But before we go, let's take a look at him next to some other figures. This guy is a little bit tall. It's kind of weird that he came out tall considering the parts that I use, but let's put him up next to Infected Superman, which is where this basic body build comes from. Then for a newer figure, and remember I did mod my Martian Manhunter, so he's a little bit taller, but let's put him next to my taller Martian Manhunter. Then finally for some Batman, let's put him next to the Dark Knight Metals Batman. Then let's put him up next to Prime, one of my favorite little custom figures I've done. And then my all-time favorite custom Superman that I've done, my light blue classic Superman. And finally, let's take a look at them next to the 3 figures that I used to make them. Up first, I got the legs from Omega, that future Batman from the Last Night on Earth. Of course, I got the hair from the Aquaman, but I have another project I'm going to do with that Aquaman body, so it was, I didn't just buy it for the hair. I actually had this all planned out. The Omega legs were actually left over from another custom I did a long time ago, so really minimal cost that it cost me. And then finally, next to the solar suit Superman from McFarlane, which is where I got the upper body and the head from. So anyways, guys, like I said before, you guys could imagine anything you want and make it. I would just be careful of making figures that McFarlane is likely to release. But besides that, go crazy. Make these figures be something that you just can't put down and you really, really love having in your collection. But anyways, you guys keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.